Hi everyone, my name is Junon. I have a health science background and I'm the author of the books Truth and Empathy, How to Find Your Soulmate, as well as Theta-Waves Meditation. And I'll put links to my books below. This video is about how long does someone have to date another person to determine that they are their soulmate. I hear often online or even in real life, people say that they have to interact with a person for an extended period of time to determine whether or not they are a compatible long-term romantic partner. And I would argue otherwise. First, you need to determine who you are. So obviously on my channel, I talk a lot about brain types. So you need to determine if you are right brain dominant or left brain dominant. So in other words, are you more like Oprah or are you more like Arnold Schwarzenegger? Most people are able to determine that pretty much. In other words, are you someone who uses more, let's say, their ethics and morals to make decisions? So are you more right brain dominant? Or are you more object oriented? So in other words, do you use more logic to make decisions in your life? And that already really helps when in terms of determining who would be a best partner for you, because people who are right brain dominant are people oriented and they usually fare well in their relationships. So if you're right brain dominant, you are better equipped naturally to navigate relationships, and being with someone who's left brain dominant will not be a good idea because you will have to carry most of the load when it comes to the relationship. If you are left brain dominant, you are better off with someone who also is like you. So that again, it has to do with like attract like. We don't like to feel that we cannot meet the needs of our partner and vice versa. And then you have to determine whether you are an intuitive or a sensor. Most people, at least 85% of people, are sensors. And actually, I'm going to put below a link to a video that I recorded that actually tells you how to confirm that you are indeed an intuitive. And it's a pretty sort of detailed sort of video. So rare that people say, oh, I'm still confused about whether or not I am an intuitive or not. Then you have to look at other aspects in the sense that, are you someone who's very reliable, reachable? Are you more of a judger or are you more of a perceiver? That also has a big impact on your relationship, because if a person needs to someone who is very reliable, reachable, if they don't get that from their mates, that can really create a frictions, especially that in life really has to do with the logistics. So you have to know that this person that you're going to merge your life with can work in a day-to-day sort of activity, so you don't feel that you have to carry again most of the load of this relationship just to make it work, especially if, let's say, you have children and you have to work. So many aspects of life require that people have the same organizational style as their mates. And if you're a perceiver, you might feel restrained by someone who's a judge, or you feel that you don't have enough flexibility in your schedule. So again, it has to do with matching someone who's similar to you. So when you actually meet a person, you can determine very quickly if they speak your language. So in a sense, it has to do with someone who can fit in your world. So we don't have to speak to someone for weeks and months and years on end to know that they speak the same mother tongue as ourselves. So in other words, the way you think, the way you organize your life, do they match with you? And also there are degrees of it. So in other words, you can meet someone who's very like an extreme judge or an extreme perceiver. So you have to know what suits you. And also obviously the one of the first things that you will notice about someone is their physical appearance. Are you physically attracted to this person? Because you are going to be in a romantic relationship. It's not going to be a platonic one. So if, let's say, you don't feel sort of this attraction, that also would be a problem. Now, the other aspect also has to do with whether the person may be in the same stage of life, because are you starting your life? Are you sort of establishing? Are you preparing for retirement? That also will impact whether or not this is a compatible partner. And also IQ. I know that it's not politically correct, but we meet some people and we can tell we're not on the same wavelength. It's very important that you are with someone that you consider your best friend, and if the person's IQ is too different from yours, you won't be able to exchange ideas and keep each other interested, because you want someone that can grow with you. And if it's not the case, then you'll have to outsource, and that again makes you more vulnerable to end the relationship. So really, when people say that a relationship ended and they didn't know why, I'm like, yeah, you know the source of it. It has to do with irreconcilable differences, and really people have to look for someone who's very much like them. So really, you can only ask from a partner what you bring to the table. If, let's say, you're someone who is disorganized, you cannot ask someone who is really sort of on point, someone who's reliable, reachable, if you cannot bring this to the relationship. So another very important aspect is that you have to have a clear mind to be able to identify if someone is the best match for you. And that's why I always emphasize meditation. Myself, I've been meditating for more than 30 years, and so I'm an advanced meditator. And what I've done to actually help people with this practice is to create videos that have a theta brainwave frequency embedded in them. So when people watch these videos, their brainwaves will automatically slow down, and actually that also corrects their resting breathing to their optimal, so then the person is better oxygenated, and it helps with their overall health. So I'm going to put below a link to my 70 free trial to those videos so that you can test them and know that you work. Because if, let's say, you don't have a really sharp, calm mind, it's very difficult to determine if a person is really the right mate for you long term. So you want to be, again, at your best. If you see a couple and they've been dating for more than a year and still do not know if that person is the right mate for them, there's a problem. Because if you have a good sense of who you are, so really, as I said, like attract like. So if, let's say, you're dating someone who's the same brain type as yours, or the introvert or extrovert version of that type, it should not be that difficult. So as long as you determine if you're right brain dominant, left brain dominant, and whether or not you are a sensor or an intuitive, and again, I'm going to put below a link to my video that can confirm that, then you are in a good position to determine if someone is a right mate for you. Obviously, you need to be physically attracted, and you have to look at, okay, the person's life stage, whether or not they are very much a judger or perceiver, how you organize your life, how they manage their money, and things of the sort. And you should tell within a year whether or not this is the right mate for you, so you don't waste your most precious asset, which is time. So let me know what you think about the content of this video by commenting below. If you like this video, if you learned something, please click on the like button. Also remember to click on the notification bell to be notified of other videos I'm going to be making. Subscribe to my channel, and we will talk soon.